Happy day 16 of Flossmas Vlogmas. Day 16 brought us a beautiful illustration of a girl enjoying perhaps a Christmas pudding with her faithful companion and a little sweet treat. Always nice to have a bit of candy cane. Peppermint candy cane at Christmas time. Okay, stitching of the day was done today with our new color called Gilded. Gilded is a beautiful, beautiful bronzed golden yellow, just the perfect gold. I think you can see the subtle changes there. Beautiful. Stitching for today. Here we go. There. Okay, so we had 8 different segments that we had to catch today. So let me point them all out so we make sure we don't miss any. We had the 2 crowns at the top. Then we had filling in our floral motifs here. We had 2 more crowns on either side here. And then we filled in the very central part of each of these motifs here. So 8 in total. And our cheerleaders still don't have heads. I wonder when those heads are coming. At least they have crowns. Beautiful. Today was fun to stitch. I hope you enjoyed it too. Sock progress. Heel has been turned. Let's get that to focus there. There we go. Heel's been turned and I added in green, red, half of the yellow. This is always the longest part of the sock, so I'm not surprised I didn't get more than, I mean, it doesn't look like a lot, but this actually was a lot. Picking up all of those stitches, starting the gusset decreases. There's a lot of stitches on the back half of this needle that need to be decreased back down. So once I get those decreases done, it just keeps going faster and faster. So the hard part is done until I get to the toe. So onwards. So a few of you have asked what this is that's behind my head when I film, and well, this is one of those things where if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't believe me. So yes, we're still prepping for Christmas in the background. The tree is still not decorated. There's a random globe on the side table. What is this? Well, it's a gong. See? It's a gong. That's what it is. That is what it is. This came with John's parents, actually, excuse me, John's grandparents. It's a long story. I'll tell you about it. So I'm just editing this video together, and I think what I'm going to do is, because the gong story, as usual, as I usually do, I go into copious detail and I talk for a long time. I'm going to give you the crafty stuff first. So in case you really don't give 2 hoots about, you know, personal family stuff, then yeah, here's the crafty stuff for you. It's good. Okay, so there we have it. It's crooked again. I have a very, very, very cheap tripod, and it is a piece of junk. And one of these days it's just gonna snap and break, but until that day, we'll keep using it. Okay, so I told you I would show you, because I wanted to show you in the daylight, but here we are again at 9 o'clock at night. It's not daylight, but I'm gonna show it to you anyways. This is a tablecloth that I made for my mother-in-law. And in fact, I was finishing it, shades of the sock. I was finishing it on Christmas Eve. the year that I gifted it to her. My mother-in-law loved to go to church on Christmas Eve for the carol service and the church service, and I begged out of going so that I could finish her tablecloth. So here it is. It is a Hardanger tablecloth. It is a square. What can I tell you about it's a prefab. I have actually, this is the second project I finished on a project made by this manufacturer called Ubalor. Actually, let me just show you. Instead of trying to spell it for you, I'll just show you the tag so you can see it. I'm not sure, I haven't seen these things for sale recently, and I'm talking 18, 20 years ago that I made this. So it's a company in Austria. The other thing is let's get that to focus back again there. I made that Ink Circles damask square. That was a pre-finished, table. It was a little square. Anyways, this is a big square. So from one end to the other, the entire thing is stitched. So it's called Hardanger, or huck weaving, Swedish weaving, huck embroidery, and I'm going to show you a close-up of the fabric, because you can see those little threads there. You can slip your needle under them. That's what you do. You slide your needle under those threads. You can see a really good example of it right there. And then you draw your length of thread underneath and you build your pattern up that way. It's actually super, super fun. Super fun, super fast. I mean, fast is relative, right? Compared to cross-stitching something that's like full coverage, it's like so fast compared to that, but it still takes a fair bit of time. But I really loved doing this. It was really, really fun. I don't know why I've done more, why I haven't done more, but yeah. So my mother-in-law used to have a special drop leaf table that was a small, kind of like a bar cart table size, and she would put this on it at Christmas time. So it's appropriate that it's Christmas time and it has come back home to me. So I miss her. Those of you, many of you, so many of you know. So anyways, there you go. Love it. Okay, so now you know what it is. So I'll tell you about how it came to belong in my house. John's grandfather, on his paternal side, so Herb's father, emigrated to Namibia from East Prussia, back when it was called East Prussia, before World War I. And he started a farm. So he started a sheep farm, and that farm is still there. His middle son, so my father-in-law is the youngest of 3 boys. The eldest lives in the United States. The middle son still lives in Namibia, and he and his wife, who has since passed away, have worked the farm up until just recently. It is currently undergoing transformation. So John's uncle never had children, and no one else in the family was interested in taking on the farm. So it is transferring ownership. John has taken Sarah to the farm in Namibia. They visited Namibia in the capital city, Windhoek, a few times. John still has his cousin who lives in Windhoek, now that the farm is under different transferring ownership, things are complicated as things are. So it's unclear yet as to whether or not Nicholas will ever see the farm, but he does hope one day to travel to Namibia to see where his grandfather was born. So John's grandfather emigrated there before World War I from East Prussia. He met and married an au pair who was there on a neighboring farm, German as well. Of course, you know, she was there working, and they met, and they fell in love. They got married. Fast forward many years, they decided to come to Canada. They were politically, they decided that they thought it was best to leave Namibia. They came to Canada. They lived on the east coast of Canada for several years, and their middle son, I know this is all very confusing, but you have to understand why they came to Canada to understand the story of the gong. Because many of the vast majority of their belongings came to Canada with them. So they moved back to Namibia. I think they were only in Canada for maybe 4 or 5 years, and they moved back to Namibia. Many of their things remained in Canada, and in fact, fast forward a few more years, their youngest son, Herb, my father-in-law, emigrated to Canada himself with his young bride, Bridget, fresh out of medical school, and became a doctor here in Canada, local to here where I live in London, Ontario. And because they were now the only members of this family who were here in Canada, took on the bulk of the furniture that had been left in storage here in Canada. So from the time I've known John, they had a house where his father was a practicing GP, and many of the pieces of furniture we now have in our house, including the gong, came from their house. They downsized and retired in late 90s. I can't quite remember the exact year, but they moved up closer to where the cottage is, up north, Georgian Bay area. And because they were downsizing, many of their things weren't going to fit in their new home, and they wanted to, of course, keep these things in the family, so they came to us. So the gong, is it a completely wackadoodle thing to have in my home? Yes. Do I absolutely love it? Yes. So that's the story of why the gong is here in my house. So now that you know, the more you know. While I'm thinking of it, because I've been speaking about my in-laws quite a bit lately. I actually did a little chat with my father-in-law, I think it was last year, during Flossmas last year or the year before. I can't quite remember when exactly it was. But I'll put a link in the description box below if you'd like to meet the man that I've been speaking about lately. So his name is Herbert. He goes by Herb, and yeah. So I'll leave a link in the description box below. So you're learning things about me that I never expected to share this Flossmas. And it's funny because the gong is such a big part, it's such a, you know, things in your house you just don't realize are there anymore. And it was 2 people who asked in the comments yesterday, what is that thing behind your head that's framing the Christmas tree? It's a gong. So there you go. I also can't see very well. You have to remember that. And the screen that I'm looking at is about this big. So when I'm editing, I'm focusing on what I'm showing you, not necessarily what's in the background. There you go. Yeah. So on that note, I'm gonna say goodbye. For me, it's Sunday night, and tomorrow is Monday. Today was supposed to be, for me, the start of the put a bird on it stitch along. I have not put a single stitch in because the deadline on that sock is looming, and I do not want to I don't want to let myself down and not get those socks perfectly finished, washed, blocked, wrapped, etc. For my niece, because I know she's gonna love them, and I'm so chuffed that that I've actually managed to get this far with them, and I haven't had to buy a last minute panic gift. So I just really want to focus on that and the countdown stitch along and get those done. So until tomorrow morning, have a great morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. Happy day 16. Luna's seeing Roxy's seeing us out with a slurp. Happy day 16, everybody. Happy stitching. Take care.